Hi everyone. Today we're going to discuss about the FRD for life insurance. That is the functional requirement document. Along with the FRD, along with the designing the FRD, we're going to discuss about the requirement gathering technique as well. How to gather the requirements from a subject matter expert. So let's start with the FRD first. Every other organization has a different way of designing the FRD, but I have a way, and this is similar to the every other organization, moreover, more or less. So there are total. Okay, so first we're gonna talk about the scope. Scope is a major goal. So the goal for this project is to create a customer-facing website that will allow the user to track the status of application and allow them to pay the insurance premium. Then comes the systems impacted. So the system that gonna be impacted, the first one would be that we are making a website. Second one would be the internal system used by the underwriter. Earlier, the system that used by the underwriter is an internal system. Now it is a website. So these two systems would be impacted. Third comes the assumptions and dependencies. So we usually, if we are using any third party, we are dependent on that. So supposingly the payment part, we are dependent on a bank or so, but for the current scenario we aren't dependent on anybody, so I mentioned that not applicable. Fourth is the as is business process, though I have discussed in the previous video, but I'll give you an overview of as is business process. As is business process is basically how an insurance company is currently doing the things. So in that, what happen is, for the first step would be the insurance agent will go to a customer place and ask the customer to fill up the application. The second step would be the insurance agent will submit the application to the company. Third thing would be the imaging team would scan the paper application into an image. Fourth would be the data entry person would look at the image and fill up the application in the internal system. The fifth would be the application would be reviewed by underwriter, who would either approve or reject it based on the business rules for the insurance company. The business rules would be based on the age or the person diseases, and on the basis of that, the underwriter would either approves it or rejects it. The last step would be the fulfillment team would print the result and manually mail it to the applicant house. Um, the fifth thing would be the 2B business process. In 2B business process, we are actually making a website, so we will be talking about that. So in that, user will submit an application via website. Second thing would be the application would be directly viewed by the underwriter as the imaging team work, or um, or the data entry person work would be done. So directly the application would be reviewed by the underwriter, and then the results would be emailed to the applicant. Now the sixth thing, that is the most important, that is the functional requirements. And now I'm going to talk about how to gather the requirements from the subject matter expert. That is also one of the important thing to do. So the first question that we're gonna ask the subject matter expert while gathering the requirement is, where do you want to place the register button on the website, on the home page? So he'll say like on the right corner we have to place that. So second question would be, when we will click on the register button, what will happen? Then he gonna reply that it will open up, it will display a new screen. Okay, so then we have to ask the question, what all the fields would be there in that screen. So uh, to that question he gonna reply that he want a header of new user registration, and he want various fields. The first field would be the user ID, and for that user ID he want a text box. For the password, the same text box. Re-enter password, the same text box. And even for the SSN, he want a text box. For gender, he want a radio button of male and female. For interest, he want check boxes for sports, travel, movies, and reading. For security question, he want a drop down menu, and the list or the questions for the security questions would be provided in the list that he'll gonna mail it to you. The last thing would be the security answer, which also also he wanted a checkbox, and at the last he want the register button and cancel button. So the next question that you gonna say is, like, these requirements, they are given the requirement, but these are not the complete requirements. There are some minute missing information that you gonna ask to the subject matter expert, and that shows that you are a really good BA. The the first thing would be you have to ask whether the fields are required fields or optional fields. For that, he gonna give you the answer that whether it is a required field or not. So for this case, it is a required field. The second question that you wanna ask is, what is the data type for the text box? Whether it is alphanumeric, whether it's numeric, whether we only can enter the character. So for that also, you're gonna give that it is alphanumeric. The third question that we have to ask is, what is a min and max character, or do you want to put any restriction for this text box, that from minimum the length should be this much and maximum is this much. For that also, we're gonna reply that the minimum character can be 8 and maximum character can be 16. And similar way, we have to create a table and mention the field name, mention the columns such as field name, field type, content, required field, min character, max character, and notes. Similarly, for password, we're gonna ask, like, whether it is a required field. Second question would be, what is a data type, and third question would be the min and max character. There gonna be a fourth question for the password, that would be whether you want the password to be encrypted or it can be shown normally. So for that, he's gonna reply that he wants that password to be encrypted, and similarly in the notes we have to mention that. Okay, and similar to that, you're gonna create a table, and you have to mention the requirement for it. After mentioning what the subject matter expert have told you, then you have to create a mockup. So mockup can be created in Azure. You have to download a software, and even in organization, some organization provide that. So they will give you a full pro license for it, and it is very easy. Just you have to select whether we want a header or we want a label, or whether we want a text box or a radio button and something like that, and we have to put it. So this is all about how to gather the requirements and how to document them. And you can give this document to the UI team, then to the UI team, so that they can code it, and afterwards from UI team to the backend team, and from backend team to the testing team, and at the last you can do the user acceptance testing, and then the whole work would be done. So so in this video I've described how to design the FRD, and also that is an add-on how to gather the requirements from the subject matter expert. Thank you.